Ohio's funding may change after President Trump's opioid emergency announcement. Plus, a Confederate flag hanging brings the community together. And in sports, the MAC reveals its basketball preseason poll. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Effective today, my administration is officially declaring the opioid crisis a national public health emergency under federal law, and why I am directing all executive agencies to use every appropriate emergency authority to fight the opioid crisis.
President Trump stopped short of declaring a national emergency on opioids, instead ordering a public health emergency. Good evening, I'm Abby Grisey. Thanks for joining us. President Trump followed through on his promise to declare an emergency on opioids, but the action he took isn't exactly what he talked about previously. There's a difference between a national emergency, what he promised, and a public health emergency. The Public Health Emergency Fund has less money and is given out slower compared to national emergency funds. While no additional federal funding will be automatically directed to the crisis, it will allow lawmakers to increase federal funding in Congress's year-end budget deals. President Trump says the emergency declaration still gives them enough power to fight the crisis.
Each of us has a responsibility to this effort. We have a total responsibility to ourselves, to our family, to our country, including those who are struggling with this addiction. Each of us is responsible to look out for our loved ones, our communities, our children, our neighbors, and our own health.
President Trump says there is a need for more enforcement of illegal drugs brought into the United States, but that's not all. Newswatch reporter Chelsea Sick has more on how the public health emergency will impact our communities.
Thanks, Abby. President Trump says pharmacies and doctors will be held responsible for the amount of painkillers they prescribe. In March of this year, Ohio Governor John Kasich established a rule that says doctors and dentists cannot prescribe more than 7 days of painkillers to adults and 5 days for minors. President Trump says the Department of Labor will assist by issuing dislocated worker grants to those who are displaced because of the crisis. Former Executive Director of Health Recovery Services, Dr. Joe Gay, says this will positively impact our local communities.
Get back in the workforce. And it's very interesting. A number of people I've talked to, clients of HRS who've had what we consider, extended periods of sobriety, a year or more. One of the things they really talk about is their work.
Dr. Gay says there is no way to tell how quickly the changes will make an impact in Athens. Reporting live in the studio, I'm Chelsea Sick. Abby, back to you.
Thank you, Chelsea. On a local level, many residents know someone who is affected by the opioid epidemic, either directly or indirectly. Going door to door and up Court Street, many were unwilling to comment on how they are personally impacted by the opioid crisis. But owner of Mountain Laurel Gifts, Pam Rollins, has seen the epidemic grow worse in the 28 years she's lived in Athens. She disapproves of Trump's declaration and says it isn't enough to solve the problem.
I think it's ridiculous. He makes such a proclamation about something being a huge problem, and then, of course, doesn't come up with a remedy or a solution or funding or anything to help the situation.
Rollins says the problem isn't inner city Athens as much as the townships around the city. She says, if anywhere, those are the areas that will be most impacted by the public health emergency declaration. FBI and DEA agents arrested 39 drug traffickers in Mansfield, Ohio yesterday. The arrests end a 2-year investigation into drug trafficking. The trafficking groups allegedly supplied crack cocaine and heroin from out of the state. Police found money, guns, and drugs in the bus. They executed 15 search warrants and dozens of arrest warrants.
Our commitment to our community is still the same. They asked us to step up our efforts, and we did that, and we'll continue to do that. And as the FBI alluded earlier, we already know who we're going after next. So if you are a drug dealer inside Richland County, I highly suggest that you start moving out of town very rapidly, because you may be on our list next.
children at several of the houses busted yesterday morning. Chief Kuntz says it's the largest bust they've done in about 10 years. The Athens Police Department will participate in the Drug Enforcement Administration's National Drug Take-Back Day. On Saturday, APD will dispose of any expired, unused, and unwanted prescription drugs. The event is aimed at preventing pill abuse and theft. You can bring your pills from 10 to 2 to the Elks parking lot at 600 West Union Street. The service is free and anonymous. The Athens community organized a Confederate flag hanging at Ohio University. Newswatch reporter Josh Gregory is live at Kennedy Museum, where the event is set to take place next. Josh?
Abby, I'm standing outside of the Kennedy Museum of Art right now, where the Confederate flag that was hanged earlier today is now located. And what I saw today was a community that showed they want to fight the oppression that's etched in American history, as hundreds of people gathered to watch the public hanging of the Confederate flag.
It is time for us, in this very belated moment, to condemn this troubled flag to death.
Detroit multimedia artist John Sims hosted what he calls the lynching of the Confederate flag at the Scripps Amphitheater, a symbolic way to cleanse America's history of oppression.
The Confederate flag shall hang as an affirmation that the South shall never, ever rise again among us in body and soul.
The community organized event started with the somber hanging of the flag, and then celebration. Residents told us they hope the Athens community will continue the fight against oppression.
That base is already in Athens. The people who are against oppression, who are against, what the Confederate flag stands for. But the problem is, a lot of these people think they're alone. Events like today prove that these people aren't alone. There are enough people here to start a rally. There were enough people here to start a movement.
Activists say resisting oppression is as simple as showing up.
And if you're not strong enough to fight today, be strong enough to love. Be strong enough to support.
And the sight of the Confederate flag hanging by a noose, a testament to the ability to transform old symbols of hate into something new, rooted in hope and love.
Search within our creative essence for new life, new symbols, new stories that shall rise from a deeply scarred past of oppression.
Josh Gregory, WOUB News. This event is part of John Sims' Hanging Piece, a 16-year project that explores the complexity of white supremacy that's etched in visual terrorism in the context of Confederate symbols. Sims will host a panel discussion at Walter Rotunda Friday at noon. Reporting in Athens for Newswatch, Josh Gregory.
Josh, thank you.
Welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Adriana Davies, and tomorrow in Athens we're looking at a beautiful day ahead. We just got to get through a little bit of a chilly night tonight, and this weekend is going to be a little bit of a washout for Halloween here in Athens. Tonight we're looking at a low of 41 degrees, so not as cool as it was last night. Clear skies though, so if you're out, take that coat. As we move through the evening too, we will see temperatures start to cool off a little bit more too. 40s in the most of the area, 39 in Marietta, 46 down in Ripley, and 45 over in Columbus. Clear skies for most of the area. There is a partly cloudy aspect that will start to move in as we move through the evening hours. A lingering cloud can show up, but don't count on that ruining a starry night tonight. By 8 p.m., 45 degrees. By midnight, we'll see 42. And by 4 a.m., we'll see those partly cloudy skies start to increase in the evening. It is going to be a little bit chillier, but not as cool as it was. We're back to those average lows, and this weekend is going to be a little bit of a washout, Abby. I don't know if you have any Saturday plans, but you might want to move inside.
Hopefully people can stay dry. Thank you, Adriana. A West Virginia sheriff's office is offering to X-ray Halloween candy to help ease some parents' worries. Hancock County deputies have been scanning for 4 years. The machines detect screws, razors, or anything else suspicious.
A lot of parents have problems or fears, I should say, that something may have been slipped into their children's candy, and this is just a way of alleviating fears and letting them come through.
The office says every scan has come up clean since they first began x-raying candy. A 10-year-old boy had the ride of his life this morning after a high-speed chase with the Ohio State Highway Patrol. The boy led police through 2 counties, reaching speeds up to 100 miles per hour. He was able to avoid officers by cutting through a ditch, but got stuck when trying to get back on the turnpike. Officers say the boy tried to spit in troopers' faces and actually kicked one in the chin before being taken into custody. The boy says he was bored and just wanted to go on a joyride. His mother says this isn't the first time the boy has taken the car. Coming up, the House passes a budget resolution making the path to tax reform easier. Plus, new airport regulations could affect the time it takes to get you on the plane. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local Gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
House of Representatives narrowly passed a budget resolution this morning, making the path to tax reform quicker. It allows the Senate to approve the legislation with a simple majority. Usually 60 votes are needed to overcome a filibuster. Democrats and some Republicans objected to the removal of the popular state and local deduction, which is a tax break used by nearly 1/3 of all filers. House Speaker Paul Ryan says he is excited about the budget.
It strengthens our national defense, and it's really good for taxpayers. Most importantly, this budget that we just passed in the House today brings us one step closer to historic tax reform.
House Republicans are expected to unveil the text of the tax reform bill next week. Eight prototypes for a wall between the U.S. and Mexico are ready to be tested today. 4 companies spent the past month constructing the walls. They stand between 18 and 30 feet high. The prototypes are made out of concrete and steel. Right now, officials will spend 3 months testing them.
Bases below ground that it will help deter and detect tunneling. And then we'll use that situational awareness piece, that domain awareness piece. All new wall that the Border Patrol is asking for will have a buried cable sensor in it, so that it will recognize. The technology will tell agents and the response teams that there's somebody approaching the wall, and then things like digging and tunneling will be detected by that equipment as well.
Congress has not authorized any new money to build President Trump's promised border wall. Travelers flying to the U.S. on international flights will now need to get to the airport a little earlier. New enhanced security measures started today. The rules are designed to detect explosives in electronic devices. Many airlines are conducting security interviews with all passengers as part of the check-in process. Any airline that fails to meet the new standards could face a full laptop ban for all of its passengers. Small changes to the kind of drinks you have can impact your health in a big way. That story's still ahead.
And we're looking at a beautiful Friday ahead, but rainy day all day Saturday for Halloween here in Athens. We'll talk about that and more up next on Newswatch. And here's a look at stocks of local interest.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center, and right now in Athens we're looking at 53 degrees, with winds from the north at 5 miles an hour, partly cloudy skies too before that sun does set early on in the evening today. Taking a look at the almanac, we were a little bit below average, and I know we're not used to being below average. Here we're usually like 20 degrees above the high, or the normal for this time of the year is 62 degrees, 55 was our temperature for today. And take a look at our lows. We saw 30 and 41 is the normal low for this time of the year. So we are going to see 41 as our low for tonight in Athens. 40 in Athens, actually, our graphics seem to conflict with each other. 44 down in Ironton, 45 over in Columbus, and 39 over in Marietta. Mainly clear skies for all of the viewing area, so don't worry about, there might be a passing cloud, but don't worry about not being able to see those starry skies tonight. There we go, 41 in Athens, mostly clear, like I said. Cool night, but not as cool as we've been seeing, with light winds this evening as well. Taking a look at the bus stop tomorrow, 44, mostly clear to start the day too. Chilly start too, so take those layers because it is going to end up being warmer by the end of the day. So you're going to want to be able to take layers off versus putting heavy layers on in the morning and not being able to take them off when it hits 70 tomorrow. So winds from the south at 0 to 5 miles an hour tomorrow at the bus stop. So at 8 a.m. we're going to look at 44. By noon we're going to jump almost 20 degrees to 63, and by 4 p.m. 70 degrees with mainly sunny skies. So beautiful day in Athens tomorrow. It's going to make way for a less than beautiful weekend. Sunny skies tomorrow, like I said, clear, 71 as our high. A beautiful way to end of the week with a little bit of a breeze too, winds from the south at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Our tomorrow highs for the area, 69 down in Ripley, 72 down in Ironton, and then 68 over in Columbus. Our precipcast is looking a little bit ugly as we move throughout the weekend, so we will see that warm front move through tomorrow, giving us those beautiful temperatures, and then the rain will start to move in with this cold front. So we'll see that linger, and that blue that is over there, you see that? That is freezing rain and even possibly snow into Saturday evening. So we will see the rain kind of through 4 a.m., 4 p.m. in Athens is looking at the timing for that. Cloudy and cold for a majority of the day, but hopefully that will be out of the area by the time Block Party rolls around. I know the parade starts at 6, so we're crossing our fingers for the rain to end before that. 50 degrees with rain, 90% chance of rain on Saturday, 45 by Sunday, 30% chance by Monday, 53. We are going to get a little bit warmer by the end of the week if you count 56 as warm. I know I sure don't. 60% chance of rain by Thursday, but other than that, we're looking at seasonable temperatures for the rest of the year. Abby?
Thank you, Adriana. CDC immunization experts have approved a new vaccine to treat shingles in adults over 50. The new drug is called Shingrix. It's made by the company GlaxoSmithKline. The Food and Drug Administration gave its approval to the new vaccine last Friday. 1/3 of Americans will develop shingles at some point in their lifetime. Now let's see what's ahead in sports.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Duncan Goldberg. Today for you on sports, we will be previewing the biggest matchup of the TVC Ohio this season, as the Athens Bulldogs will be hosting the Nelsonville York Buckeyes for the Ohio Crown. And next, we will be taking an in-depth look at the MAC men's basketball preseason polls. Find out where the Ohio men's basketball team placed. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight for your public television station.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back. I'm Duncan Goldberg. Earlier today, the MAC preseason polls were released, with the Ohio University men's basketball team selected to finish 3rd in the MAC East. The Bobcats did receive 3 first-place votes, but were bettered by the University of Buffalo, who finished first in the polls and had 24 first-place votes. The other team predicted to finish ahead of the Bobcats was Kent State, but Kent only received 2 first-place votes. On the west side, Western Michigan was predicted to finish first, while Ball State was predicted to finish a close second. Now, rolling off of that, the All-MAC preseason teams were selected earlier today, too, with teams being represented from each division. On the east side, the Ohio Bobcats landed 2 players onto the preseason team, with guard Jordan Dardis and forward Jason Carter. Both Dardis and Carter are expected to be focal points this season for Ohio, as the Bobcats lost their 2 top players in Jerron Simmons and Antonio Campbell. Last season, Dardis averaged 12.6 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.8 assists, while averaging 35 minutes per night. And Carter, as a freshman, averaged 9.9 points per game, while grabbing 6.5 boards per game. Carter production increased in the second half, though, when Antonio Campbell was ruled out for the rest of the season. And earlier today, the Ohio University women's soccer team played their last regular season game at Kent State and fell to the Golden Flashes by a score of 2-1. The Golden Flashes had a 2-goal lead going late into the game, but the Bobcats were able to close the gap with a goal in the 82nd minute, but they couldn't get another goal to tie it up. The win for the Golden Flashes gives them the 2017 MAC regular season championship. The Lady Bobcats finished 7-10-2 on the season and 4-5-2 in conference play. The Friday night lights will be as bright as they can be tomorrow in the Plains, as the Athens Bulldogs will be hosting the Nelsonville York Buckeyes for the TVC Ohio Championship. Going into this game, the Buckeyes are undefeated on the season, while the Athens Bulldogs have recorded only 1 loss, but the Bulldogs are still undefeated in conference play. It is the last game of the regular season for both teams, and the Bulldogs will need a win in order to even make the playoffs, while the Buckeyes are more likely in regardless of the result. And now on to even brighter lights. Last night, the Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Dodgers put on a show for the viewers as the Astros were able to win 7-6 in 11 innings of thrilling baseball. The win ties up the 7-game series at 1 apiece, with the series heading to Houston for the next 3 games. Going into the 8th inning last night, the Astros were down 3-1, but they were able to record a run in both the 8th and the 9th to tie the game up. Then in the 10th, the Astros scored 2 runs to take a lead. But in the bottom of the 10th, the Dodgers matched them with 2 runs of their own to tie things back up. But again in the 11th, the Astros recorded 2 more runs and took the final lead of the game. The Dodgers made things interesting in the bottom of the 11th, scoring 1 run, but just couldn't get 1 more run to tie the game. Now, that's going to be it for me here at Sports. Abby, back to you.
Thank you, Duncan. Today is National Pumpkin Day. The United States produces 1.5 billion pounds of pumpkins every year. Last week at the Circleville Pumpkin Show, the winner for the largest pumpkin weighed 1,701 pounds. And right now, many neighborhoods are holding their trick-or-treat. Halloween events continue until Tuesday. The Honey for the Heart Parade will kick off the Halloween block party on Saturday at 6 o'clock. On Monday, the Athens Uptown Business Association will hold their annual trick-or-treat event from 6 to 7. And on Tuesday, which is actually Halloween, there will be a special midnight movie showing at the Athena Cinema. Now let's get a final look at weather.
And tonight in Athens, we're looking at a low of 41 degrees with mostly clear skies, giving way to an even more beautiful day tomorrow. 71 with those clear skies carrying over. There is a chance for rain on Saturday, but we will see that rain start to dry out for next week. So hopefully that uptown trick-or-treat is going to be awesome and clear weather. And then actual Halloween, we have our Haunt Miami game on Tuesday. We'll see some beautiful skies as well. Taking a look at Thursday, we're going to see a little bit warmer, 56 degrees, but 60% chance for rain. So there will be some rain to end our week next week. Abby?
Thank you, Adriana. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Abby Grisey. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.